Miller and Sergeant Valdez. I don't know which one of you is going to start off.
Good morning. I'm Frank Miller, Lieutenant in the Houston Police Department's Juvenile Division. We're here to give a presentation on the juvenile curfew ordinance. State law requires the cities that have adopted the juvenile curfew.
Lieutenant, pull that mic down just a little bit.
Okay. State law requires cities that have adopted a juvenile curfew ordinance review that ordinance every 3 years. And the last review was in April of 2010. So with that said, Sergeant Valdez will begin the presentation.
Good morning, Mayor, and good morning, council members. Brief history is that the ordinance was enacted over 20 years ago, so it's been around for a while. And like Lieutenant said, in 1995, the Texas Local Government Code required the ordinance to be reviewed every 3 years. Since the ordinance was enacted, only one change has been made to it, and that was in 2007, when the age was lowered from 18 and under to 17 and under, and there were also a few defenses added to it. This is the ordinance as it sits, and it basically states that anyone between the ages of 10 and 16 cannot be in a public place during the curfew hours. And any parent who knowingly allows their minor to be out between those hours can face a penalty of up to $500. There are several defenses. I won't go through all of them. Some of the main ones are if they are with their parent during the curfew hours, they would not be in violation. If they are on an errand that was made necessary by an emergency, they would not be in violation. If they are attending a school activity such as a football game, baseball games, and I know prom's coming up, so if they're traveling to or from those activities, they would not be in violation. If they are directly one of their residents on the sidewalk, they would not be in violation. If they were sent on an errand by their parent, they would not be in violation. If they are married or have been married and they are no longer considered a minor according to the family code, the curfew doesn't apply to them. Number 11 applies to the daytime hours, and that is for during the summer when there is no school in session. The daytime hours do not apply because, of course, the kids are not in school during that time. It also would be during any holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, spring break, and any of the holidays that are observed by the school. And then the last one, if they are attending a recreational activity that's supervised by an adult, they would not be in violation of the curfew. This is the actual curfew hours, and the nighttime hours are 11 to 6 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, midnight to 6 a.m. Friday and Saturday, and then the daytime hours are 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. And it says again that parents may be cited, but we are seeing that officers are, instead of giving the citations, are either taking the kids back to the schools or back home if it's during the nighttime hours. These next numbers here, the curfew citations that you see on the left were obtained from the municipal courts. And as you can see, in the last 3 years, we've had a 32% reduction in the number of curfew citations issued. The numbers on the right-hand side for juveniles processed, those numbers were obtained from our own HPD Crime Analysis Division, and we've seen a 20% reduction in the last 20 years. I'm sorry, in the last 3 years, a 20% reduction. This next slide is the juvenile complainant UCR, the Uniform Crime Report, Part 1 and 2 crimes. And this is where the actual victim is the complainant, the juvenile that's reporting the crime. So the top is the violent crimes, and those are going to be murder, aggravated assault, robbery, sexual assault. We've seen a 12% decrease in the last 3 years. And then the bottom are the non-violent crimes, which are burglary, arson, auto theft, and any felony thefts or misdemeanor thefts. Those have remained the same in the last 3 years. This is the last slide here, and we just wanted to put this out there. We thought it was a very interesting fact and something that when you look at it, it speaks volumes because in 1996, when the ordinance was fairly new, 14,325 citations were issued. And then you compare that to just last year with 1,221 citations being issued. I think it shows that the citizens of Houston are aware that this ordinance exists. It shows that the ordinance is doing what it was designed to do, and that is protect juveniles from becoming victims of crime. It is protecting the public from criminal acts of juveniles. It is also helping parents to be more responsible for their children, to know where they are at all hours of the day and night. And it's an ordinance that is used by law enforcement officers every day while they're out there on patrol. So I think it benefits everyone, and it's an ordinance that we would like to see continue here in the city of Houston. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Miller and Sergeant Valdez. I'll point out also that Judges Hartle and Fraga are in the audience as well. If there are any questions about the judicial process around these curfew violations. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Thank you for the presentation. Good job. I want to take an opportunity while we have the judges here, Judge Hartle, and also Captain Bender. I think that this is a good tool, and I think that we should take advantage of this data and making sure that we're being proactive, because I think one thing that we're missing is that are we breaking down this data to see, for example, who are the repeat individuals, juveniles that are receiving these citations. For example, if you have a juvenile that's received multiple juvenile curfew citations, to me that's a clue that some intervention is needed, and maybe we could look for other, proactively look to coordinate some wraparound services or other community-based groups that could perhaps try to address this up front to prevent further violations of the curfew, because many of them are just hanging out, you know, they're hanging out with friends, but some might be either being victimized or falling prey to being a runaway of human trafficking or other issues, or they're out there committing crimes. So I think instead of just issuing citations, I think we need to take that data and say, let's at least do a follow-up with the ones that have been caught 3 or 4 times, whatever that magic number could be, and doing some proactive work. And I think that's something that in the future we could better maximize this data, because we've been at it since 1991, and I see some reductions, and that's good. But I think we could also be proactive, because we're still issuing thousands of citations and thousands of processing that's taking place, and at the end that is money that we're allocating towards this problem when we're detaining them for the set hours. So that's just something that I would challenge all of us to maybe consider, and I'd be glad to help facilitate a discussion on it to see what else could maybe be done proactively on this. Thank you.
Councilmember Christian.
You state that in 2012, 5,500 citations. Are those $500 citations?
That is up to the judge. When they go before the judge, penalty could be up to $500.
Okay, and do you get any feedback on, whether it's from Judge Hartle or others, on the collection rate on that? Do we just get 5,500 citations and 20% collection?
Councilmember, do you wish to hear from Judge Hartle?
Either way, they don't have the answer.
These citations are used a lot to get compliance and to educate the child and their parents about the ordinance. They're usually, the child is allowed to participate in a deferred disposition. We do have case managers, juvenile case managers who work with Judge Fraga to do intervention, like Councilmember Gonzalez was speaking about, but there's not a lot of revenue collected from these citations, because the purpose of them really is to assist the child in not breaking the law and to educate the parents.
Right, I like the answer.
Vice Mayor Pro Tem Bradford.
Thank you, Mayor. It's fair to say that, Lieutenant Sergeant, that the curfew has been used well over a 20-year period as a tool. Is there any analysis between the curfew, what has happened over the 20-year period that we've had the curfew enacted here, and what has happened in the neighborhoods and school districts regarding how we handle children that are absent from school? As an example, there are a number of door-to-door programs that are in place now trying to get kids to get out and go to school. The HISD, many of the school districts, they have alternative educational strategies in place. We just used to write a lot of tickets or take them down to juvenile, but today they have alternative strategies. So are we looking at those strategies as part of the equation that has assisted with the juvenile curfew reduction in citations or not?
Yes, sir. Everything we do is first and foremost is what is in the best interest of the child. normally during the daytime, the officers will take them back to school
Yeah.
and turn them over to the school district. And I think as the law has progressed, officers are doing that more and more. And that's a reduction in the tickets from 14,000 to 1,200 that we have today, or last year.
Thank you, because I know I've talked to a number of officers, Lieutenant, and many of them tell me that they do just what you said. They are less likely to just write a ticket today. In past years, we would write a ticket, take them to juvenile, move on. But the officers are really informed, and they do a better job of, let's try to get the kid to an environment where we can deal with the problem as opposed to just popping a ticket and taking the kid home or even to school, even back home. A number of officers do that. Let me urge my next question. Maybe it's for Judge Hartle, please, if you would approach again, Your Honor, please. I'm concerned about the recidivism rate. Does the court look at recidivism among these students, and are they identifying recidivism, and how are the recidivists handled as it relates to parental involvement?
In addition to the court counselors that we use, we also have juvenile case managers who are in the schools with the highest rates of truancy throughout HISD, getting ready to go into Spring Branch ISD next school year. These counselors work in conjunction with the school, so if an officer is bringing an individual child back who's been violating the curfew, the school's going to notify our juvenile case managers. We work in conjunction with the school. Then these case managers will go out and do home visits and work with the parents. And the point of it is to get compliance, to keep the kids in school and not to punish. And we have a very low rate of kids and parents that don't complete the deferred disposition programs.
Well, thank you. I know there was a tremendous amount of concern when this tool was given to the Houston Police Department, but I think the city of Houston, the police department, has done a really good job, an exemplary job in utilizing this tool very effectively to help get boys and girls back on the right track. So I commend the Houston Police Department and Judge Hartle what your operation has done from a judicial standpoint. It all has worked well, so thank you for a job well done. Thank you, Mayor.
Any further questions or comments from council members? Seeing none, Sergeant, if you'll step back. Appreciate your presentation. We had no one from the public sign up to speak today. This is an open call if someone wishes to address this juvenile curfew ordinance. Council members, we will have another hearing next week. We have to do this twice. Seeing no one, I'd ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Move second.
Discussion.